Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another video. I think my last video I filmed was my first trimester update. So yes, I'm pregnant with twins, actually. I'm 25 weeks pregnant right now when I'm filming this video, and I'm going to do a second trimester update soon after I finish my second trimester, and that will be my next video. But this video is a toddler sleep update, and the reason that I'm doing this video is because recently a video that I made about a year and a half ago has gotten a lot of attention, a lot of views, and it was me talking about my son's sleep at 9 months and why I am not sleep training, or actually why sleep training did not work for us. Talking about cry it out sleep training. A lot of people seem to resonate with that video seemed to resonate with a lot of people, and a lot of them asked me to do a sleep update since my son is now a toddler. He's over 2 years old. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be talking about my toddler's current sleep situation and kind of like what happened between 9 months and now, and just a little bit of advice for those of you that are kind of going through the infant stage as far as infant sleep, because it can be really, really difficult and it can be very stressful. So this is my advice kind of coming from the end of it a little bit, especially with a infant that was very wakeful, and how we managed to get him to now sleep through the night. Spoiler alert, he sleeps through the night now. Okay, so I'll start off first with the current sleep situation. So Asahi is now 2 years, 3 months old, and he started sleeping through the night, as in like from the time I put him to bed to the time he wakes up for the day in the morning. That is what I'm considering sleeping through the night for a toddler. He started doing that around 18 months. And again, this is without sleep training. He started doing this on his own from around 18 months. And so now it's still the same. He sleeps from about 8:30 p.m. when he goes to bed until 6:30, 7 a.m. when he wakes up for the day. He generally sleeps the entire night through. And of course, there are situations like when he's teething or he's sick or he has a nightmare or something when he does wake up in the night, and I will go to him. I always go to him, or my husband does, when he wakes up in the night. I never leave him to cry, even now. And those situations happen for sure. That is normal, and you should expect that. If you have an infant, you should expect that that will also happen in toddlerhood. But again, I find that completely normal and completely acceptable. I also wake up through the night, especially being pregnant. I am up in the night going to the bathroom at least twice, so I can understand. I can relate with him. The other big thing that has happened within the last month is that he now sleeps in a floor bed. So we've transitioned from the crib to a floor bed because we ended up moving. Since our family is growing, we moved to a bigger place, and now he sleeps in a floor bed, and that transition has actually gone really well. We have not had really any problems with the transition to the floor bed. He sleeps in it just as well as he slept in his crib, and he seems to love it. So overall, I'm really happy with his sleep right now. So now I'm going to talk about kind of what happened between 9 months when I filmed that last video until now, just over 2 years. And I'm going to have my notes because, to be honest, I can't really even remember what happened. So between 9 months and around 13 months or so, I was nursing him to sleep. And that was happening before he goes to bed, before naps. I was nursing him to sleep, like all the way to sleep, usually, and then putting him down in the crib, and he would then fall asleep, like fully. And he was still kind of waking up frequently. Around 13 months, I decided that I wanted to try night weaning. And the reason I decided to do this is because I was experiencing quite a lot of aversion, breastfeeding aversion, especially nursing at night. Nursing during the day was fine, but nursing at night, I was getting a lot of negative emotions because of the frequency, I think. And I'm not really sure, but that's how I was feeling. And breastfeeding is a two-person relationship, and sometimes it takes one person to kind of push the other one to reach a solution, I would say, in order to make breastfeeding continue to work. So you don't need to fully wean, but maybe some changes need to be made to, at least this is my opinion, this is how I feel. Some changes needed to be made to make the relationship work for both of us, which is why I decided to do night weaning. And I used the Dr. J. Gordon method, loosely, I should say. I extended it much longer than what he recommends. I think he recommends like a 10-day process, and mine took about 30 days or so. And I actually did a post about my night weaning experience, which I'll link down below, that talks really like night by night how it all went. And this method is not recommended for infants, which means any child under 12 months old. A child that is over 12 months, if you have responded to them for that entire duration of that year, is meant to have a secure attachment to you. And it is at that point that you can make a decision to change things a little bit, like in night weaning. And so around 13 months is when I started doing night weaning. Once night weaning was done, as in we were not really nursing at night, I was still nursing him kind of around maybe early morning, like 5 a.m. But generally he was only waking 1 to 2 times a night from around that time. So around 14, 15 months, he was waking up 1 to 2 times per night. And I would nurse him back to sleep if it was outside of the night weaning window. So you need to do some research on this method, but basically it's where you choose the section of time during your night that's most precious for you to be asleep, and you do not nurse during that time. You nurse before that time and after that time, but not during that time. You find other ways to get them to go back to sleep, to help kind of release them a little bit from the nurse to sleep association, which it is a sleep association. It's not a negative one, but it is a sleep association. So it's something to think about. So that was kind of how it was, like between 9 months and, around 13, 14 months. And then around 18 months is when things really, really started to change for us. And I believe that this is because his molars and his canines, all of them came in. All of his teeth came in. And after that, it felt like the skies opened up and we were finally like out of the weeds, as they say, with sleep. And he really started to consistently sleep through the night, and really only waking up like that one time in the early morning, like around 5 a.m. Around 18 months, he was doing that. And I was really happy at that point. The other change that happened during that time is that I started nursing him in the living room instead of in his bedroom. So we would read some books, and then I would nurse him in the living room. We would stop. He would be quite drowsy. I wouldn't let him fall asleep on the breast in the living room. And then I would take him into his room with the white noise on, and I would maybe rock him a little bit and rub his back, and then I would put him down in the crib. So we started to slowly move away from nursing to sleep in the dark room. You know, really we were kind of stretching away from that nurse to sleep association. And that also helped. But I felt like it was really time. You know, at 18 months, I felt that it was an okay time to do all of this. And I think that that's really my point to talking about or sharing my story, is a lot of times parents feel that they need to rush to make their baby sleep. And yes, of course, everyone needs sleep. It's really difficult as a parent if you have a wakeful infant and you have to wake up frequently through the night. It is really hard. It is. But it's also very, very normal. And there's going to be a time in the future where it feels like it's the right time to make these changes. And the transition just is so much easier at that time. And it's kind of like what they say about potty training, that you should just wait until they are ready, and then once they're ready, it's a breeze. So that's something to keep in mind if you're somewhere in this process and your baby is still waking frequently in the night. And then the last thing that happened is slowly between 18 months and 2 years, he stopped waking at 5 a.m. And I think that that happened because I slowly stopped offering to nurse him at 5 a.m. I would offer him usually water in a cup, a straw cup or something. And so that kind of association, that sleep association he had at waking up at 5 a.m. also then slowly stopped happening. So then of course by, I don't know, a couple months after that, so in between 18 months and 2 years, pretty much he was consistently sleeping through from the time I put him to bed to the time he woke up for the day in the morning. And I was really happy with that. I felt like that's actually very normal. And overall, when I think back about the experience, I feel really good about the decisions that I made as a parent. I feel like I made the best decisions for him and our attachment, but also the best decisions for me. I don't have any regrets about those decisions. Any regrets whatsoever. I mean, we did try sleep training, so maybe I wish that we didn't spend those 5 days having him cry for 2 hours every single night, but maybe if I hadn't tried that, I wouldn't know that it was not right for me as a parent. It does not align with the way that I parent now. And so I'm glad that I had that experience. So now I'm just going to share a little bit of advice for those of you that are kind of in the middle of it right now. You have maybe a wakeful infant or a wakeful toddler, and this is just my advice as someone who has gone through it and come out on the other side with a child who sleeps through the night without any interventions really, or at least crying related interventions. First of all, you need to remember that the developmentally appropriate time for your child to sleep through the night, meaning what we imagine as sleeping through the night, like from the time we put them to bed to the time they wake up in the morning, is between 16 and 24 months. This is the developmentally appropriate time. Okay, if your child is less than 1 year old, then sleeping through the night actually means sleeping for 6 to 8 hours at a time. So it doesn't mean sleeping for 12 hours. And that's what we imagine as parents, but 6 to 8 hours is sleeping through the night for an infant under 12 months. Okay, not like under 3 months, under 12 months. So please remember this. When someone is saying their kid is sleeping through the night, they probably are still waking up at night. Most infants are still waking up at night. Most toddlers are still waking up at night. This is very normal. So that's actually leads me to my first piece of advice is the sooner that you accept that a child waking up in the night is normal, and the sooner that you realize that you also wake up in the night as an adult, most likely. Maybe you need to go to the bathroom. Maybe you are a bit hot and you need to take off your socks. It's winter here, so that's what I'm thinking of. There are so many times when you, as an adult, wake up during the night. You do not sleep all the way through the night. The difference is you do not need someone to help you go back to sleep. Your child is a child, or an infant, or a toddler. They are so small, and they do need your help. They need to know that you are there for them. They need you to show them what to do. And leaving them to cry alone is not showing them anything. It's not teaching them anything, except that you are not going to be there when they need you. So I get very serious about this, and I think in my other video, I was really saying do whatever works for you. If it's sleep training, it's sleep training. It just didn't work for us. But now I really believe that, by letting your child lay there and cry by themselves, you are really showing them that if they are upset, if they need you, you are not going to be there. I mean, it's kind of serious. So that leads me to my second piece of advice is think of infant sleep and how you handle infant sleep as one of your first parenting decisions. And maybe infant feeding and how you choose to feed your child is your first decision, but how you deal with sleep is your first parenting decision. And whether or not you're going to respond to your child in the night is your first decision you make as a parent. And it will most likely influence the way that you parent later on as well. So it's really something to think about and take seriously. And the last thing that I just want to say today is that your infant, your child, is meant to have a secure attachment with you if you respond to them throughout the entire first year. If you're responsive, if you go to them in the night or whenever they're crying, anytime, that is how you build a secure attachment. And after the first year, when they kind of start to have a bit more ability to understand the situation, that is when you can make a few changes to help kind of regain some balance in the relationship. So for me, that was night weaning. For you, maybe that means transitioning from bed sharing, co-sleeping, to having your child go to their own room. Whatever that means for your family, try to wait for through the first year before making a lot of these changes. I think you'll find the transition to whatever the new situation is to be a lot easier if you just wait a little bit longer. And I think that's all I have for my advice. I hope this video gives you hope if you have a wakeful infant, that they will be a very nice sleepy toddler, because they will. It's just when they're developmentally ready to do it, they will do it, just like so many things. I'm probably going to talk a bit more in another video about what I plan to do with my twins, because so many people say the first thing that they say about twins is, you gotta sleep train because you will not survive. And I haven't gone through it yet, but I'm not really in agreement with that. So I need to think about that and maybe make another video about it. But I think that's it for this video. That was my toddler sleep update. He's sleeping through the night, and your child's going to sleep through the night too. If you have any questions or comments, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, that's totally fine, but go ahead and leave it all below. And I'll see you in my next video, which will be a second trimester twin pregnancy update, I think. And otherwise, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.